For more, I'm joined by Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Jim.
So the Republican House Speaker essentially sent everybody home, despite the fact that there was a bipartisan vote, right, to move forward, or at least move forward a debate to release more of these Epstein materials here. What does this mean for Congress's role in all this? Has it been effectively shuttered?
I don't think so. I think there's tremendous infighting within the Republican conference, and there's a lot of voices calling for the full release of the Epstein files. Democrats, of course, are united in calling for full transparency, and a lot of Republicans are. So much so that even the chair of the Oversight Committee on which I sit, and one of the members, Tim Burchett, today moved to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell to come before the Oversight Committee, which is an extraordinary move, obviously.
The thing is, though, you and I have seen temporary moments like this when a small number of House Republicans have disagreed with the president, say, for instance, on adding to the budget deficit with a big, beautiful bill, or now in this instance. But then that opposition to the president or debate or difference disappears. In other words, the president either scares them or pressures them into giving in. Do you see any different outcome here?
It seems like this is slightly different. Remember, for years, Donald Trump and others within the party basically ginned up this particular issue and ran on it. Multiple people, even in the administration at the highest levels, ran on this particular issue. And of course, numerous members of Congress did. And so there's a base, especially within the MAGA movement, that is clamoring for these files and believe that those files reveal the identity of numerous pedophiles. And so when Donald Trump is sitting there saying the files existed and now he's saying they don't exist, that appears to be a tremendous betrayal. And by the way, I have to say, this is bleeding into other issues, I believe. I believe that it's getting more people to question the health of the economy. You see that in the 60% disapproval rating with regard to his handling of the economy. It's getting people to question what's going on with the tariff chaos. I have small business people in my own district I know who voted for Trump, and they are beside themselves about what's happening with their businesses because of his economic policies. And I think everything is kind of working together, the Epstein files and everything else, to erode his credibility and get people just questioning his leadership.
There is evidence of that in the numbers, but what you're not seeing is a great migration to the Democratic Party here, because a lot of the polling shows that while Republicans rate low, Democrats rate lower. Are you concerned, as we're a little over a year to midterm elections, that Democrats have not shown exactly what alternate path they would lead the country?
I think that's the challenge right now. We need to make sure that we are addressing the economic concerns that beset people, whether they're working poor, middle class, growing a business, even at the same time that we call for accountability with regard to the president, full transparency with regard to the Epstein files, and making sure there are checks and balances with regard to the executive branch. We have to kind of walk and chew gum at the same time and offer a pathway forward for working families and businesses to realize their economic potential, even at the same time that we're, doing everything we can to resist the worst excesses of this administration.
Looking ahead to the midterms, you now have two red states, two Republican states, Texas and Missouri, where the state legislatures, quite unusually, not at the turn of the decade when they're responding to new census data, but just before an election, it seems, to seek political advantage, redrawing or attempting to redraw congressional maps to, in effect, write Democratic House districts out of existence. What should the Democratic Party's response be to that in blue states?
I think everything should be on the table. At the same time, what I know talking to voters is they are just beside themselves right now about their economic circumstances, Jim. So going back to your previous point, we absolutely have to do whatever we need to do to defend our position in Congress and the maps and so forth. But we've got to tackle those economic issues, those pain points that people feel, especially now with the tariff chaos that is kind of bedeviling them at this point.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Jim.